Vocabio. Master English your way.
The way to say, has the situation changed? Do we have to reorient in other ways? So
I was like, all right, what is the system for reorienting this map? Some person who had way too much time on their hands.
This task of reorienting objects, because it is needed to perform a downstream.
It's possible to tap into them if we reorient the way that school is structured. So I want to just...
We're all here to help them be successful. Reorienting achievement, so...
Great. So let me rephrase the question. You're asking a really important question, and if my sociology friends were...
Person that's, let me just rephrase it. I am who I am.
Wait, let me rephrase that. No, nothing. There's been a lot.
I think one way to maybe rephrase it is failure is not failure, it's learning.
Yes.
And that's the same as I already explained, is rephrase what your child is saying or describe with a few words that sound.
Your book where you kind of like demystify what it's going to be like.
Colonoscopy on television to demystify and destigmatize this procedure. And he said colonoscopy on television to demystify and destigmatize this procedure. And he said
effectively start writing small pieces about trying to demystify the football industry to
what we were doing, and frankly demystify a lot of these places. Many of these folks.
There is loose talk about flouting them. I hope that having explained
is that here is a guy who has flouted what has been the traditional way to make a big audience.
Discourse and beyond the powers of measured criticism, as they flout conventions in favor of something rooted in emotion.
Advantages in society. If religion becomes an excuse for flouting the law.
Care that many of his actions since he became president flout or challenge the Constitution, particularly the separation of powers.
Years ago and said, hey, look, we're revamping the SAT so it's actually aligned with the Common Core and what students...
In fact, it's so heavily used now, 40 years later, they're about to revamp the whole place because it's become a bit tired.
Harvard and schools like Harvard, how we can sort of revamp the educational system to have more spaces like this.
Sources for social housing, or maybe revamping existing ones or expanding existing ones.
And high quality of life. We've done things like revamp our music scene to make sure that is.
Sean, I want to interject here. I don't disagree with you at all, but as an immigrant,
for us as a college,
I would love to interject that some of my best friends now are some of the white.
Wonderful. If I can just briefly interject before handing it over to James and then opening it up.
If just maybe two people want to interject, what is a tech-related path that you have not gone down yet?
I would just let me interject this. A lot of people said that.
This, Brandon, and this hopefully is very enlightening for all the people on here who I don't know, but
enlightening us. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You've heard all the illuminating and enlightening arguments from our speakers. You'll be in position to...
book. There are definitely so many enlightening and actionable strategies that you present, and I will for sure...
1959, this is not a particularly enlightened time culturally. When
on your calves and your shins, noticing your ankles.
Hungry herbivores have been busy giving birth to their calves.
I've been walking for more than 5.
Down at the edge of the Antarctic continent, where calving occurs, where the glacier actually starts.
The appearance of a longer neck. Calves are being injected with Botox for the same reason. Having a slimmer
on the subcontinent and carving out the new independent dominions of India.
Isn't that what the news does? It reinforces, in a way, the politics of fear, which is why we are all...
There's right or wrong becomes reinforced by learning, by saying, okay, you figure out.
Choosing between lesser evils and reinforcing energies which are already there without me.
So I think it's reinforced the nation state. So I suppose that
it's created it has reinforced a form of politics which cannot possibly.
Of that building and this building is similar. It's galvanized steel. It's very crude in a way. There's a crude.
They seem to be
I can't even galvanize them to use the power they have over government.
And not have it then galvanize you for wanting to say, well, I can contribute.
Fantastic. Right, that's wonderful galvanizing tone. Let's bring it into the room.
The beach in Bodrum and Turkey, and how that galvanized, especially the German government, to change their policy vis-a-vis.
It's made it harder to attain help. So that's what I would say about that. This is not a surprise.
The Pilgrims actually only attained this kind of status as a myth until the mid-19...
Attain. This is not neutrality.
Simulators that students can use to attain any one of their degrees here. It's a very lucrative industry.
Possessions as means for attaining happiness. I'm going to take this opportunity today.
Time, and there's nothing in their environment that's provoking it, and it always seems to rise and fall exactly the same way. Like
Mr. Unconstitutionally, and he lied about this, was intending to prorogue Parliament so as to enable.
I want to tiptoe around, anxiety-provoking activities,
which has got its independence, and it is the Dutch that provoke the British into forming the East India Company.
George too. That your mere presence provokes an existential angst, which means that
we ignore their feelings, we stifle their emotions, and we silence their voice.
Greenwashing around at the moment, it's stifling. So we hear a lot about ESG.
So we're going to stifle this one with regulations. It's like
people's careers were really stifled because they worked on glial cells. And now
lawyers, but everyone, can begin to stifle the spread of unreliable information.
Bulldozed or buried. There, in the supposed wasteland.
People who change the world have a tendency to bulldoze their way through things to a certain degree because they have to. They're forced to.
India, where Muslim houses are being bulldozed by the government. So when bulldozers are being taken...
Housing of the East End in the 1960s, when they bulldozed it all because it was considered to be slum, we were moved into tower blocks.
Which has this rigor. I mean, they could bulldoze everything and then just make their perfect plan. We live in a...
It was like to have somebody vocalize that for you while you're sitting there. Getting
Wolf ever, and learned that she likes to vocalize roughly half as much as a typical American.
And I thought that's really interesting. I actually haven't heard that vocalized. It doesn't come up much now because equality is seen as
position, but he was actually just vocalizing the common sense of the time. It's interesting that we've sort of
embraced our own weaknesses and we vocalized them, so that when we were on the field.
Around Modi sort of harkens back to an era of Hindu greatness before.
Talking to you about some stuff, and hopefully you'll be able to harken back and go, I remember they mentioned this particular resource, and you.
But it harkens to the old days, and he really was, he almost had.
Individually creative, and I actually harken back to some of my experiences at Amazon and Google to.
By hearkening, is that the right word? Talking about Pixar.
We are going to continue to hurtle toward this cliff of climate collapse. And
you're hurtling towards the Renaissance, and Richard was, very interested
of life, that we are all just here hurtling through space on this planet together, and we're.
C'est pareil avec Papa. Nous voilà lancés à pleine vitesse dans les allées du cinéma sous les yeux amusés des spectateurs.
Tied on the unfamiliar sounds. They bestowed upon us new music that made my mother's small record.
Saying which she bestowed upon me, which was to those that landscape architects can bestow on a landscape architect. I first met.
Much better than anything that anybody else could bestow upon you is the impact that you're making.
There were great gifts that society bestowed upon corporations and their shareholders, and they did make an ask.
Together as a couple.
Invigorating is probably the most accurate way. It's
like alumni, so they are just invigorated by the student exchange.
Yeah.
And then
together, they love it. It's reinvigorated their research, and it's helped
and to invigorate our democracy. It's what I like to call CUNY's.
Say that it's been an incredibly invigorating start
We had an opening symposium and reception.
Our city, but mitigation money will not inoculate and protect us from a future Sandy or the.
I'd hesitate to think that education inoculates us from a kind of cynicism or tendency to
pathogen detection and how we inoculate people. And that has attracted an enormous
cancer. We were helping babies. We were inoculating against all sorts of disease.
Single day. That's right, from the time we inoculate our fermenter to the time we harvest our fermenter can occur in
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.